Hi everyone, Azuki Yamamoto here, and today I'm playing World of Warships in the Enterprise. Now, the Enterprise is a Tier 8 premium aircraft carrier, American, and it's actually been removed from sales for quite a while now. But in my summer sale video, I explained that there is a tricky way in which you can sometimes get special ships like this. I managed to pick up the Enterprise in that way. And the reason I am very much interested in the Enterprise is that it is a very strong aircraft carrier. I think many people will easily say that it's probably overpowered, and yeah, I'm not quite at the point that I'd say I'm that good at it that it's completely broken, but it is very comfortable to play. It is very flexible and very strong as well, as we'll see later on in this battle. When I compare it to something like the Kaga Tier 8 Japanese premium aircraft carrier, the Kaga has a very comparable, if not higher, damage output potential, but the Enterprise is a lot more flexible, and that's what makes the Enterprise so dangerous in my opinion. So you have rockets, and as we could see just now when I used them on the York, there's a lot of those rockets. These rockets can be very deadly against destroyers as well. Armor-piercing dive bombers, which I'm using right now, effective against heavy cruisers, light cruisers even, and especially against battleships. And torpedoes, are quite an all-round weapon on this on this aircraft carrier. Bit of a diagonal approach here, so not perfect approach on this York, but we still managed to score a citadel hit with the one bomb that we do hit. And the second approach here seems to be a lot better. So we go in for the second run, drop for the York again, and we pick up our first kill, dealing 17,000 damage total to the York. Now, of course, in order to keep the relation of aircraft a bit okay, I decide to use my torpedoes and go for the same group. I haven't paid too much attention to the destroyers in the battle yet, because I want to try and reduce the pressure on the A flank a bit. I could go after the Jervis or the Asasha on the enemy team. But I feel like if I don't support this flank, our team will probably collapse entirely here on the A flank. So what I'm gonna try now is to see if I can take the Surrey out of the game. And the way he's sitting, I should easily be able to land a torpedo on him. But of course, if this happens, that's not really required anymore. In this situation I can do three things. I can withdraw my aircraft, and of course I can choose if I want to go for Mogami or Ismail or even someone else. But I decide to take an approach for the Ismail and then take my aircraft back. Now I'll take my rocket aircraft and see if I can find one of the destroyers. Dealing some damage to the Ismail there. The team over at A is now doing sort of okay, not in an excellent position, but meanwhile the rest of our team over at the east side is actually starting to clearly struggle, and they are out there with two destroyers, enemy destroyers, while our destroyers are already dead, and that's where an aircraft carrier can try and level the playing field a bit. So I feel like I should try and do that. On my way there, I think, okay, you know what? Since we're flying here now anyway, I'm thinking that Sasha might be somewhere around Nelson. Can take my rockets and go for this Nelson. But then we can see a bit of a problem with these rockets. These rockets aren't made to penetrate armor. They ain't far too low here. None of them deal any damage. Bit of my own mistake, but well, that happens. I do spot our Sasha though, and that's what this was actually all about. So drop a fighter to see if we can keep him spotted for a bit, and luckily our team takes very good use of that. Go in with the rockets and blast our Sasha for roughly 4000 damage. You could do a lot more damage with a shot like that, but I've simply not gotten used to the Enterprise rockets that well. And this was really quite a fluke shot. So I decide to keep helping the sea flank a bit since our Sharnhost is pushing in there. Use my torpedo bombers to see if we can take out the Nelson. And the enemy team is pushing up on A right now, but at least we're not really losing that flank. I mean, our team is withdrawing, but not all of our people have died there. Meanwhile, our Algerie actually shuts down the Jervis, and since that's one of the two destroyers on the enemy team, that's a very big deal in my opinion. It's really convenient to have him out of the way. Enemy Asasio gets spotted. Hopefully he'll be taken down. I miscalculated my drop here a bit. Took a way too long approach, and now my aircraft have to disengage because I took a too long approach. Yeah, that's just dumb really. Hope we can swirl around and go in for a second attempt on the Nelson, and he should be dead now, either by me or by the Algerie. Algerie in the meantime is shooting for the sorry, the Sharnos shot the Asasio, and the Algerie shuts down the Nelson. So we're kind of getting back into the game. We're not doing too great, but we still have some hope here of winning this battle. I myself haven't done too much so far, but situations like this, for as far as I can tell right now, this is kind of where the Enterprise really distinguishes itself from modern aircraft carriers, because it can really, yeah, you can really use the Enterprise to turn around the battle. You have a lot of battle influence, and if you use it well, then you can make things happen. So we go in for the Normandy here, using armor piercing bombers, hoping for some juicy citadel hits. We do get one citadel hit on the first approach, not quite what we were hoping for, but of course we can loop around and go for a second hit. We do lose some aircraft, but we should be able to hit the Normandy a bit better this time, since he's under far better angle. Twally is not quite dead yet. We did manage to take a good chunk of his HP. So again, taking torpedo bombers now to see if I need to finish off the Normandy or need to go somewhere else. So my friend Mad Guy in the Atago manages to shut down the Normandy, pretty important kill there. He said, okay, push down south with your aircraft, see if you can spot the Ismail, see if you can take him down. Unfortunately he needs to push up, at least that's what he felt, and with that he is not able to take the B cap. He's in a very gnarly situation here against both the Ismail and the Algerie. And I thought, oh god, him gone, and well, the Algerie has a free play there, but not so much, because while I go in for the Ismail with my torpedo run, Mad Guy manages to shut down the Algerie, and the Algerie was full HP, so that's a bloody good job right there. Now, unfortunately, I do push away the Ismail from that guy's torpedoes, who otherwise might have steered in. But on the flip side, the Ismail is lined up pretty good for my torpedoes, so I should be able to deal a fair amount of damage to him. We managed to land another 2 torpedoes there. Unfortunately, not the third, and I probably have finished him off. But as long as now the Algerie pushes in on B, we're actually in a relatively decent situation, even though we're 400 points behind. Our Fuso is combating with the Tirpitz somewhere back there, and while it looks as though the Tirpitz is going down, I want to be sure of that, so I'm sending my AP bombers out there just to be sure that the Tirpitz will not survive. And of course, if he dies before I get there, then I can just divert and go somewhere else. But I want to make sure that the Tirpitz doesn't get away with this. So the Tirpitz burns down, and I can just divert. Algerie is capping B, which is really good. Meanwhile, the Massachusetts is pushing up on the north side towards the west. And right now I'm kind of wondering, okay, where would this Mogami be? Because I know that the Mogami has a lot of his HP left, and with these APE bombers I could take a good chunk of his HP down. And he might not be the best target to take down, but I might as well take a quick swipe on my way towards the Ismail. And then this happens. I get a perfect approach on the first run, which is pretty rare. And I actually citadel him 3 times. The Massachusetts has a pretty good shot at him from its side, and the Mogami is pretty much under half HP from full HP. So I decided to go in for the second run, and massive hit there. We actually take down the full HP Mogami completely. So all of a sudden we're now up by 2 ships. We're still massively behind in points, but I've now located myself, positioned myself such that I can start capping the B cap. The Algerie dies to the implacable, unfortunately. But myself and the Massachusetts can start attacking the implacable now. And we actually seem to have a fairly decent shot at still winning this, even though we're 350 points behind. Things are starting to look a lot better. So I'm using torpedo bombers. Torpedo bombers are actually the ideal weapon in carrier versus carrier combat. But of course they still get shot down pretty easily. Do manage to get a couple of torpedoes off, some good damage there. And another one in the water, which might hit, we'll see. And for some reason I thought, okay, let's take my armor piercing bombers, see if those work on the implacable, and we'll see that they don't really deal any proper damage. I pick up the Confederate medal, and analyzing this battle as a whole, I think the Enterprise is just so immensely flexible. And in the start of the battle I wasn't really doing all that much, not that great damage, but just the flexibility of this Enterprise, that's really insane. So with the final salvo from the Massachusetts there, we managed to take out the enemy implacable, winning a battle that seemed, well, pretty much lost. And yeah, if I compare the Enterprise to other aircraft carriers, and particularly to other premium aircraft carriers, what really distinguishes it is that it just has so much potential to influence battles. So it's not even necessarily that it can deal crazy amounts of damage. I think the Kaga is somewhat easier to really deal damage, but you can just tailor your needs, tailor to your needs really. So if you want to hunt a destroyer, you'll take your rockets and you'll be able to do very good damage to that. Although that's something that I got to practice a bit on in the Enterprise. If you have these cruisers, you take rockets or torpedoes or AP bombers, depending on what kind of cruiser it is. And against battleships, you have the flexibility of going either the AP bombers, which are very good for these approaches from above, from the lengthwise direction of the ship, or the torpedo bombers, if you can push them such that they need to go broadside to your torpedoes. And especially when you combine that with the strength of other ships, what we saw with the Mogami when the Massachusetts also shoots at it. That's where the Enterprise really shines. And for me, it feels like this ship has a lot more battle influence than most other aircraft carriers, and in that sense, I kind of understand why it has been removed from the store. That being said, I don't even necessarily think it's the easiest aircraft carrier to play. It is, in my opinion, very much fun to play, but it's a bit tricky to understand where exactly its strengths are. And I think for good aircraft carrier players, they will get good results in the Enterprise. But people who aren't that good in aircraft carriers in general will probably do pretty bad in an Enterprise. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the Enterprise right now. And you'll probably see more of the Enterprise in the future, because my first impressions of this ship are very, very good. I really like the aircraft carrier. Still gotta get used to it a bit, but I definitely am glad that I have this in my port now. So, that's it for today, and I will see you all around.